I'm a feminist, but I'm in my jumpsuit era and I'm willing to risk a UTI because it does mean I pee a lot less.
Yeah,
I go into the loo about 1 time in 3 that I would if I were wearing a skirt or trousers.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go if I were you at all, because how do you even get it down?
Well, I had to ask, this one is particularly, it's an amazing jumpsuit, it's my favourite.
It's really amazing.
But
For those listening at home, it's fantastic.
Thank you, it's a bombshell one. But the zip at the back is quite hard to reach, so I just have to ask, I might ask you tonight, can you quickly zip it down? It's more than zipping it up, actually. I have often asked a woman in a loo, just a random woman in a loo, could you please just zip me up?
But that's so nice, isn't it? I love those friendships that are created in women's bathrooms.
Fleeting, but amazing.
Yeah, and I would say, I've got in nightclubs some of you always get advice, and it's always the worst, most life-ruining advice that anyone could possibly have given you, with some honey called Rachel from Liverpool being like, the thing is, you got to fucking leave him, darling. That kind of thing. So, talking about my dad here, Rachel. But it's fantastic, isn't it? Because in that moment, you feel like Rachel is going to be your best friend and you're going to hang out every day for the rest of your lives.
You feel seen.
Yeah.
Rachel will have a tampon. Rachel will have a lipstick. Rachel will have a
tissue. She'd get them confused. They'd all be going in the wrong place.
Rachel will have a tissue if you've been crying.
Yeah.
Rachel will have life advice, as you say, always appalling.
Yeah.
But
I'd die for Rachel. I'd die for her.
In that moment, you
absolutely.
Do you know the other place that's good? Is fitting rooms where women say to each other, they just come out, you come out of something and you're trying to buy a dress to wear to someone's wedding or something, and you come out and a woman will just look over and go, you can do better. No, but they'll go, no, the blue one was better. That is not as flattering on you as it could be. It's not showing you off. You looked incredible in the blue one, and that is not showcasing your wonders. And or they go, you've got to buy it. You go, well, I can't afford it.
And then suddenly they're doing a GoFundMe. They've just you have to have this.
Oh my God. Yeah, you have to have it. And when a team of women gang up on you in a fitting room and say, well, you have to have it, you go, well, it's a bit out of my price range. I was just sort of trying it on for fun and I'm not sure. No, you must. You must. It doesn't matter. Sell a kidney if necessary.
I'm a feminist, but I would only ever procreate with a man above 6'4" because I want to give birth to a monster child. My dream is to, imagine hear me out. Imagine taking your large monster child through the gates of primary school on their first day and going, here, try and bully that. Do you know what I mean? I think it would just be unbullyable.
But are you then creating your own bully?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got the premise of the bit. I guess it's that philosophical question of would you rather be a bully or be bullied? And for my child, bully. That's the decision I've made. It's a dog-eat-dog word out there. No, obviously I don't mean that. But
obviously you don't mean that. Are you...
Maybe a gentle giant.
Well, I think your child... I think the truth is your child would be the gentle giant who would... I don't know if that's inclusive language, but would be a gentle giant who would protect smaller children from the bullies. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be really
The bully protector.
The bully protector. That's what I want. That's why if there's any men over 6'4" in here... I would like a conversation after the show.
I'm a feminist, but I've never fancied Liam from One Direction till I saw he had a driving ban, and I thought, that's given him a bit of an edge. That's a bit of an edge. I know that's not right at all, but that's the point of this section. It's a confessional.
And what you have to understand is, Liam Payne has always had too much of an edge, Deborah.
What?
Oh, he's the worst one of One Direction.
What do you mean worst one?
Would you like me to order them? Okay. Bottom. Liam Payne. Louis Tomlinson. Niall. Zayn. Harry. That's the order that they go in from worst to best.
I think, to be honest,
Deborah,
Louis and Niall...
Are you drawing a chart?
I'm just writing down Louis and Niall's names so I don't forget them, because
They are very forgettable, to be fair.
I could definitely... Obviously, everyone knows Harry Styles. We could all pick him out of a police lineup and would if asked. Because he might need a lift home. I used to think, when people used to say they fancied Harry Styles, I was like, the child from X Factor. But he's won me over. Now, so Harry Styles, and I know Zayn, because he's the one that got sad and left, And I saw that.
No, you've done this. What she's so
I've written
backstage. Deborah was trying to name all of One Direction, and I would like you to guess what she thinks Zayn's surname is.
I'm sure it's right.
Go on, read out.
Zayn Mallet. What is it?
Malik. Not Mallet. Malik.
Okay. Malik. Oh, Malik. Oh, Malik. Okay. All right. Well, so he's not Zayn Mallet, not Zayn Kitchen Mallet.
No.
But he's the one, and I knew he was going to leave. Do you know? Because he actually had a bit of a meltdown because he couldn't do the dancing in X Factor. I used to watch X Factor in those days. Do you remember that when they were making all the boys dance, and he had a meltdown and said he was going to go home, and Simon took him aside and gave him a talking to and said, "Come on, mate,
do your dance,
because I think you're really good." And if he hadn't, because if he'd just said, "Well, fuck you then," like if you don't want to do the dance, you haven't got show business style, he would have just gone home and been broke. Yeah. But as it is, he's one of the richest and most miserable people in the world now. So I know that one
because you saw him do that dance on X Factor. You knew
I sensed that he wasn't going to. At some point, he was going to depart.
You knew that 7 years later he was going to depart.
I knew that he probably wasn't cut out for the business because he couldn't do the dance, and Simon probably shouldn't have called him back. But there you are. Now he's very sad, but he's got money for therapy. It's fine. There are people I feel sorry for, honestly. Then there's Liam, who I do know, and Niall and Louis. Honestly, if you said to me, I'm going to destroy something you love unless you absolutely categorically say this one's Louis and this one's Niall, it would be a real toss-up. You may be about to destroy my jumpsuit.
The rule of thumb is Niall, blonde and Irish, Louis, brown hair and looks like a rat. It's just a rule of thumb to go by. Yeah, he looks like a rat. He doesn't look like a member of a boy band. He's not at all. Oh. We can't do just Googling on a podcast, can we?
No, I'm
going
to.
Yourselves.
No, I'm going to. I don't think any of them. They all look like boy bands to me.
Who here thinks that Louis Tomlinson looks like he belongs in a boy band? There we fucking go.
These people, half of them can't picture him. They're thinking, I don't know which one he is.
Exactly.
Just give us a cheer if you categorically know what Louis from One Direction looks like. And give us a cheer if you think he does look like, fair enough, he should be in a boy band.
Wow.
Oh, no, Chloe, they're on your side. Okay, we're loitering too long on this, I feel. Oh, if I were his mum, I'd be really proud. I'd be really proud. If I were his mum, I'd think he was handsome.
But he's like handsome if you're going to a nightclub above a Burton's. But he's not handsome if he's in the world's most famous boy band.
Who'd be in show business? Because there's somebody sitting around talking about me like this. There's somebody's going, oh no, I wouldn't.
I'm a feminist, but I'd only ever want to procreate with an extremely ripped athletic footballer. Because as well as my monster child, I want 10 other athlete children so that I have enough for my own football team.
Are you a queer woman planning on an Edinburgh Hour so fascinating it'll blow all Edinburgh Hours out of the water because you were going to do my year of procreation with straight men who I'm like, it sort of sounds like eugenics what you're doing.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it kind of is actually. Yeah, I just want like some.
I think we
11 perfect children to be in a football team, so that I could do sort of my own Ted Lasso. Sort of, it would be like Ted Lasso meets The Sound of Music. You know, you find out what happens if the Von Trapps all have flares up their asses.
Chloe, I think speaking of The Sound of Music, that was a period where eugenics was explored and very much seen to be the greatest evil ever visited on humankind.
I thought we were allowed to get whatever we wanted off our chest during this bit, but apparently I've gone too weird.
You absolutely can. Again, you might have missed the turn-off. Now, I'm a feminist, but I'm dabbling in eugenics. That's not normally what we get. We normally get things like, I'm a feminist, but, I can't go out without my eyeliner and stuff like that. What? Okay, all right, I'm going to do another one. I'm a feminist, but I was recently asked for my beauty secret by a journalist who was doing one of those sort of, flippant questions at the end of an interview. And I was fucking thrilled because I've always wanted to be asked what my beauty secret is. And I answered...
What did you answer?
Use hair conditioner shaving cream for your legs. It's because you don't need shaving foam. You don't need to buy shaving foam. And if you don't do anything proper, you can get cuts and things like that.
Yeah.
So the best thing is already in your shower. You've already got it. It's right there, and it nourishes. It's so slidey. You won't get any cuts. You don't need any special thing. Wherever you are, you're in a hotel. There's always conditioner.
Yeah.
It's so slidey, and it leaves your legs satiny smooth. That's my beauty secret.
That's really good.
Thank you. Oh, I was so thrilled to be asked. And I know I shouldn't be. Women campaign not to be asked those questions. And I was fucking thrilled. Listen, I know. You're not. There's a whole campaign. Don't ask her who she's wearing. Can you please ask me, though? I want to be asked. I like it.
Who are you wearing?
Bombshell.
I'm a feminist, but I'd only ever want to procreate with a man who's tall, dark and handsome because I don't want ugly kids.
God.
Oh, that's a joke. It's just...
I thought you were... Live from King's Place in London, the Spontaneity Shop presents The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Francis White, guest co-host Chloe Petts, and our very special guest, Daisy Haggard, talking about questioning everything. This is The Guilty Feminist, the podcast in which we explore our noble goals as 21st century feminists and the hypocrisies and insecurities which undermine them. I'm Deborah Francis White, and with me is Chloe Petts, and we're talking about questioning everything. So that was an example of me running into the patriarchy. It was sort of like a metaphor for how sometimes you just get tripped up by things that, structures, power structures. That was like a line. If I keep doing this, then I'm going to knock the water over, and then I'm going to have to make up a metaphor for that. Hello. Thank you so much for coming out on a wet Monday night. We really, really appreciate it. So just to start off, if you don't know what this is, it's a podcast, and a podcast is radio that nobody stops you making. That's why women do it so often. The normal channels are, of course, closed down to us and have been for some years. They're opening up a bit more now. I feel like we're jemmying them open due to things like successful podcasts and other things, the homemade stuff, stuff that we make at home out of sellotape and sticky back plastic. You've brought a sandwich. I admire that. And you've sat in the front row with an egg mayonnaise sandwich. And do you know why I admire that? I admire a woman who's just happy to eat and understands that if she's going to get all the work and all the feminism and all the entertainment done, she's going to have to take a packed lunch. I like it. I think more women should take a packed lunch. Half the time, we end up going, have they got any crisps? I'm starving, I'm fainting. And then, at going home and eating half a loaf of bread, we're not looking after ourselves well. What I admire here... No, don't put it away. Have I made you self-conscious by drawing attention to your egg salad sandwich? Don't... Oh, okay, sorry. No, she wasn't putting it away. She was just putting it down so she could show me she also had a glass of Prosecco. Excellent. I'm thrilled to hear it. Just give us a cheer if you're more feminist than guilty. Give us a cheer if you're feeling more guilty than feminist. Give me a cheer if you feel like you're evenly straddling guilt and feminism. Don't feel like it was an even three-way referendum. That's a balance not normally struck by referendums, I'll be honest. So sometimes I do a little bit before we start the show proper by asking people who thinks they've got a feminist job. Just give us a cheer. And it might not be your job, it might be another job that you have, but if you think you've got a feminist job, please cheer. Excellent. What's your job, can I ask? Gynecologist, yes. We'll say that's feminist job. Absolutely. See, if someone says they're like a massage therapist or a chiropractor, you often want to say, don't you, I've just got a bit of a twinge there. And I really was tempted to go... Sometimes, it gets a funny feeling. And but you're off the clock here. You're here to stock up on feminism. You're not here to be milked for gynecological advice. I will keep my vaginal questions for my own doctoral sessions, as is right and proper. Anyone else think they've got a feminist job? Yes? What's yours? A home birth midwife. So in the same area, in the same general region, Same vaginal region, excellent. I have no questions for you. I have no questions at all for you. I have no intention of giving birth, and if I did, it would certainly not be at fucking home. I would want to be all of the machines, all of the doctors, all of the... I wanted to say ammunition, that's not what it's called, is it? What's it called when they... Drugs, thank you. Anaesthetic, I meant to say, but I said ammunition, and I think that's how I was feeling about pushing something the size of a watermelon out of a hole the size of a tampon. Give me ammu-fucking-nition, if necessary. Anybody else? Anybody else got a feminist job? Yes? Yes, what's yours? Yes, you. You're an international human rights lawyer. Wow. We need you right now. There seem to be so few human rights going about at the moment. Are you very busy? It's very depressing. Are you very busy at the moment? Yes. What are you working on? I can't talk about all the things that I'm working on right now, unfortunately, but lots of elements of feminism. Okay, all right. You're like a top secret human rights lawyer. You working for the government, or I hope you're not working for the government. I don't think they employ many human rights lawyers at the government, do they? They're just generally trying to dodge them. Human rights organisations, so we represent individuals who have claims against the state. Individuals who have claims against the state. This state or other states? Multiple. Any state. Any state. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your work, all of you, to be honest. You love midwives and gynecologists. They're your jam. Well, that's, the very first right, I think, is to be born well and easily and probably at home in a calm way where you just do breathing, the way I would definitely not do it. A C-section me up right nice. I haven't... Knock me out, get it out, tummy tuck, wake me up in a week and a half. I'm kidding, of course. That's not the way to do it. That's a joke. That's a feminist. It is what I would do, but it's a joke. It's not. Has anybody got a job that they think is not feminist? Give us a cheer. Yes. You sound unhappy about it. Suitably. What's your job that's unfeminist? I work for a property company in Saudi Arabia. Wow. So you're the anti-her. Okay. Wow. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you this. Do you do any stealth feminism in your job? Because I find people with the worst unfeminist jobs generally are doing Trojan horse feminism. Are you secretly doing anything in Saudi Arabia that you can talk about, given no one knows who you are and we won't ask you your name? You're trying to. You're trying to. What kind of things do you try to do? Getting women the jobs in the company. And then what? That's as far as you've got. But once you've got enough women, that's time for a revolution, I would think. Yeah, a property Saudi revolution. So just keep, at the moment... Yeah, well, exactly. You need to talk to the human rights lawyer about what you can do when you've got enough women in the company to host a revolution. I am a feminist, but I also have a certain amount of sort of politeness thank you note in me that I would host a revolution. I've just realised that's what I just accidentally said. Emily Post, how to host a revolution. Anybody else? Anyone think they've got an unfeminist job? Yes? A feminist job that sounds unfeminist? We might have a top trumps here. What's your feminist job that sounds unfeminist?
I'm an artist and I make food that you can't eat.
An artist and you make food that we can't eat. I'm still thinking. So why do you make food that we can't eat? Is it like pop art?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sugar-free.
It's gluten-free and sugar-free. That's irrelevant if you can't eat it. It's a free-from range you can't eat. But just put it all in, I would say, if you can't eat it. It's gluten-free and sugar-free.
Yeah, well, ceramics naturally are.
Oh, ceramics are naturally... Okay, so you make a ceramic hamburger and it's free of meat.
I haven't made hamburgers yet.
What are you making?
I'm making sweets and biscuits.
Sweets and biscuits, but that I can't eat. What's the artistic statement there? Is it about the nature of the sugar industry, or is it about what we desire with our eyes and deny ourselves? I think I'm really good at art. I'm really, really good. I haven't even seen that art, but I've correctly interpreted it. I think I would be really good at writing those little cards in galleries, because I think I always know what it means, even when the artist doesn't. But I also think when you ask artists, does it mean this? They just go, yeah, because it means partly what you think it means. That's exciting. Do you have an Instagram or anything?
Yeah,
Gina Wilkinson.
Gina with 2 E's.
Gina with 2 E's.
I'm showing...
I see, Geena. You're at the Battersea Affordable Art Fair. Okay, so go along and buy a biscuit you'll never eat. But that if it's ceramic, it's probably quite lickable because it's probably glazed, isn't it? I would probably lick it late at night because I'd allowed myself no chocolate in the house. I'd think, oh, no, don't, because you just eat it late at night. And the next morning you feel a bit sick and you think, why did I do that? So if I had lickable biscuits, I might be like, just close your eyes and pretend. All right. Anybody got an unfeminist job they want to tell us about? Yes? Go on. A menswear bespoke tailor. See, I can see lots of opportunities for feminism there. Off-piste feminism. Do you ever do Trojan horse feminism when you're tailoring for men? You belittle them. Wow. Is that if they're like rich wankers, though? You don't just belittle men who come in as a matter of course. You're not in it for the belittling. You're not there measuring their inside leg and going, shorter than many. I did have a man in the middle of the pandemic write to me and say he loved The Guilty Feminist, but he wanted me to mock the size of his penis, and he just sent me unsolicited pictures of his penis. And I don't normally get dick pics. And I really, really don't. And lots of comedians do, and I just don't get them. But I did. But he said, I love the podcast, and I love that, I've learned a lot about feminism, and here are some pictures of my penis. Would you mock it? And because that would bring me sexual gratification. And if you could say it was very small. And the irony was, it was one of the largest penises I'd ever seen. And I felt like this is, no. I'm not here for that. I'm not down for that. But even if I wanted to, I felt like I couldn't. But I imagine he's listening to this and getting quite a kick out of it. And on that note, would you like to hear some stand-up comedy? Then please welcome to the stage the incredible Chloe Pitts.
Hey guys, it's still me. So I wanted to sort of talk to you about gender difference and how I realised it was a very important thing from a young age. So I like, when kids are really small / large in my case, there should sort of be no difference between like a little boy and a little girl, right? Like, if you shaved a child and forced them to wear a hemp sack, which you shouldn't. But if for the sake of science you were to shave a child and force it to wear a hemp sack, you couldn't really tell which one was a girl and which one was a boy. But I know that we sort of internalised gender difference at my primary school from a very young age, because at my school we had 2 toilets, both alike in dignity, okay? These toilets were exactly the same, but we arbitrarily decided that one toilet was going to be a girl's toilet and one toilet was going to be a boy's toilet. And at that time, we didn't really know about sort of the unisex or the gender-neutral toilets, but we probably all know what unisex and gender-neutral toilets are now. I'll just explain them just in case people don't know. If you want to get to the unisex or the gender-neutral toilet, all you do is run headfirst at the wall between the ladies and the gents, like it's platform 9 3/4. Honestly, crazy to me that J.K. Rowling's a transphobe when she literally came up with the technology for the gender-neutral toilet. But we didn't know about the gender-neutral or the unisex toilets when we were small, so we decided one of our toilets at primary school was a girls' toilet, one was a boys' toilet. Now, there was always a big queue for the girls' toilet. There was never any queue for the boys' toilet, and we know why that is. There's never a queue for the boys' toilet, and that's because you fuckers, you don't wash your hands. Even though you piss round a trough holding your horrid little willies. And they are horrid. And they are little. So there was a big queue this one day. There was a big queue for the girls' toilet. There was no queue for the boys' toilet. And on this one fateful day, what happened is a girl named Tara broke from the back of the girls' toilet queue, and she started making a beeline for the boys' toilet. And we thought, wow, what a day. What a day. This is absolutely unprecedented. And we didn't even know we knew that word because there hadn't been a global pandemic yet. But so she sort of goes to his toilet. We're going to let it play out, see what happens. I think this is going to be a wonderful day for us all. What then happens is a girl named Joanne stops Tara. And Joanne, I'll describe her. She'd probably describe herself as like the most popular girl in the year. I describe her as an evil bitch. And I don't usually say that about 7-year-olds, but on this occasion I'm justified. She stopped Tara and she goes, no, Tara, you can't go in there. You can't go into that toilet. You can't go into that toilet. That's the boys' toilet. If you go in there, what will happen is you'll grow a willy. And then your hair will all fall out and you'll get quite like a drastic boys cut, maybe like a short back and sides. And then you'll be a boy and you won't be allowed to hang out with us. That's very basic Year 2 science, isn't it? It's very basic Year 2 science. Now, what then happened is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Tara just continues walking past her towards the boys' toilet and goes, God, it's all just poo and wee. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Like, I'm now part of the London liberal metropolitan elite. I've never heard more compelling gender activism than the phrase, it's all just poo and wee. And that's something that we all need to learn, that it's all just poo and wee, because we're in the midst of this culture war, left versus right. And as the left, I'm assuming we're probably all on the left in this room, we made a big mistake during the culture war, which is we let the right decide where we were going to fight the war, and they did go with toilet. Not like the sort of noble places we used to fight the wars of yesteryear, you know, like Winston Churchill was like, we'll fight them on the beaches. Lovely, you know. Don't usually love that man's policies, but on this occasion I'm like, yes, Queen, go off, okay? We will fight them on the beaches. We'll build a little sandcastle, play on the penny slot machines, have a lovely war, it'll be fantastic. Whereas our right wing have decided to fight our war in a place where I once did a shit so big they had to retire the toilet. Thank you guys, I've been Chloe Pets. Cheers.
Chloe Pets, everybody!
Hello, Guilty Feminists. This is Deborah. We've got some new live shows coming in 2024. Tickets are on sale now for shows at King's Place in London on the 15th of January and 19th of February. Full lineups to be announced, but you know we always get the best co-hosts and the most interesting guests. And we'll be announcing our Australian and New Zealand dates very soon. So keep an eye on the website, guiltyfeminist.com. That's also the place to go for big speeches workshops from Jessica Regan. These take place on Zoom, and they've helped so many people sharpen up their presentation skills, find their voice and take their power. For dates and to book, go to guiltyfeminist.com/big speeches. There are also a small number of subsidised places if you need them. And if you're enjoying this episode, why not pop over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen and give us a 5-star review and a few lovely words. It really does help other people find the podcast, and so does talking about it on social media or even mentioning it to a friend with your face. You can also get ad-free episodes by subscribing on Patreon, Apple Podcasts or Acast+. That's all from me here. Back to the podcast.
Today we're going to be just talking about the things we should question more. And our guest today is a writer and actor best known for her roles in hit shows such as Breeders, Uncle and Episodes, and for creating, co-writing and starring in the brilliant Back to Life. Her latest show, Boat Story, will be airing on the BBC this autumn, and we've just both been allowed to see the first episode ahead of time because we've got little screeners so we could talk about it. And I was so gripped by it. I was genuinely gripped. I was only going to watch half an hour because I had a writing deadline and I didn't have much time, so I thought, oh, right, I'll watch half an hour, I'll get the idea. I watched the end of it in the cab on the way here. I had to get a cab on the way here because of a reason. And in the back of the cab, I was just like, I had my headphones on because I had to sign a disclaimer to watch it. So I didn't let the taxi driver hear it. And I just want that on the record, not to send me any more screens. But I was just like absolutely gripped. And the taxi driver pulled up, and I didn't notice he pulled up, and he went, "Is this it? Are you going to get out?" And I was like, yeah, shh. And then the credits rolled. I was like, I will now. She's one of my favourite actresses. She has always been one of my favourite actresses, and she is a genius comic actress. Yeah. Please put your hands together and make incredible woohooing noises for the wonderful Daisy Haggard. Water there. Would you like anything stronger?
Oh, no, not yet.
There's some Prosecco in the front row we could probably steal.
And a sandwich.
And a sandwich. I think that's gone now, let's be absolutely honest.
And if you want a suit tailored, then...
I've already got my
I know a guy.
Yes. I'm sure you've got a job and you need to not be tailoring every single person you meet a free suit. But any of us would take a free suit. If you're looking into departing, more women would. Because if men get tailoring, women don't not to get tailoring.
I'd love a tailored suit.
We'd all love a tailored suit.
We really would.
We'd come together as a package.
We're so
and
nice.
we'd bring cream buns.
It's the new lineup of
We
the
could
Sugar
wear it at the
Babes
same time.
We'd bring
in power suits.
We'd bring cream buns.
We would.
And we would, and probably Prosecco, and we would make you laugh, and we'd all be friends. Then we'd go out for cocktails afterwards.
We'd have a lovely time.
Daisy would write you a script.
We'd probably have to come in a few times, though, because of the fittings.
Yes.
And we'd try really make an effort to come in together. So that's the best pitch I've got. I feel I'm slightly leaning in on Chloe's excellent magic.
You
miracle
100%
one.
are.
I'm so
Anyway.
sorry. Weirdly, the tailor in Daisy's new thriller is the bad guy. He's French. We cut
Say
to
no
him.
more.
He's French and he's really, really, really evil. Are you in any way evil?
She is.
She's actually said yes. That's not where I thought this was going to go. Do all tailors have a side in evil stuff, like bad guy stuff? Drug running and murdering and stuff.
This is honestly one of the sweetest people I think I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Just go, yeah, we are a little evil.
But we should talk before we get fully into Boat Story. We should talk about what we question. Now, when you started with shows like Green Wing.
Yeah.
Now, was Green Wing in the noughties?
Oh my gosh.
Was it the 90s?
Google it. I can't remember.
Green Wing was
No.
was it the noughties?
Yes,
I think it was the noughties. I don't think it was the 90s.
Yeah, no, it
was the
wasn't
noughties.
the 90s.
No.
Yeah.
It was the noughties. So you were doing shows like that, and you did some amazing shows, but presumably you did a lot of shows at that time. Is there anything now, as an actor and as a writer and as a person trying to tell stories and trying to tell funny stories, but also trying to tell meaningful stories, is there anything that you question now that you didn't question then?
Yes, everything. I think I was just so grateful to get any job. I'd be like, oh, that's fine, yeah, I don't mind, whatever. But then you'd feel something afterwards often and think, well, why was that such a crap part? And why did the guy have all the lines? So I think that there's a dialogue about questioning now that there wasn't in the same way. And like even my children, I see them questioning everything in the way that I don't think I did, and I'm so thrilled. But
you told me that. But you told your children you were coming on
I
this.
was putting some makeup on, and my daughter just looked. First of all, she said, "Why are you trying to look pretty? Just be yourself." Like that. And I was like, "What, ugly?
How
Fuck you."
How old is she?
That's the 9-year-old. And then she said, what is it anyway? And I sort of explained, and she went, "Oh, that's great. Just say, I love my vagina." And I was like, okay. And then my 5-year-old...
We have 2 vagina experts in the audience tonight, so that would actually have gone down well.
My 5-year-old went one further because she's really surreal. We love Wendy. She's so surreal. She said, just say, it's great being a woman because of my vagina, but if anyone pokes it at the wrong time, she said, if anyone pokes it, then it becomes an angry vagina, so watch out. Genuinely, that's what she said. She's obsessed with the phrase angry vagina, and I don't know where she got it from. And I caught her saying it to my phone on Google, and I just stopped. Because she's figured out she can't write. She's 5. Well, she can sort of...
But you don't need to Google
But
now.
she said it, and then I took it, and there was quite a picture. Google that.
Did it have teeth?
It had teeth. Yeah, it was like...
Yeah. What's that called? Vagina dentum or something like that?
Yeah,
Dentata, yeah.
Dentate.
But all she wants is to Google that. But anyway, she'll kill me.
Maybe she's doing that thing where, when you talk to your phone and your algorithms get changed. Maybe she's trying to change your algorithm.
Well,
so you'll get loads of suggested adverts for angry vaginas.
I just don't know how she knows how to do that. I'm quite upset.
There's a difference between a solicited dick pic and a solicited vagina what is it called?
Dentata.
Dentata, yeah.
Yeah. I'd take that as well, though, if anyone's listening.
I think
if your vagina's got teeth, I would like to see it.
See, I haven't had a dick pic either, so I want a suit and a dick pic. Just one.
All right.
So I just had a funny image of the gynecologist having to put braces on. Sorry, I'm being a bit Wendy here, being a bit surreal.
Well, yeah, hang out with
I've
Wendy.
never thought of that, a vagina with teeth having orthodontic work.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's sort of, you'd probably do more of the Invisalign one. Invisalign.
Yeah, Invisalign.
Rather than braces, because braces would hurt.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
Too tight.
Anyway, we've strayed off, but we are questioning everything here. So what, when you were younger and starting out, because the stories we tell are very, very, very potent, the stories and the cultural soup that tells us who's important, who's valuable, what's beautiful, who deserves space, who deserves to be heard, is so... It's so pervasive that when lately they've been doing the rounds of showing Chris Evans weighing women on. Do you remember that show he used to do? Thank God It's Friday, or TFI Friday. No, thanks. It was TFI Friday. And there's one recently where he weighed Victoria Beckham because the Beckham's in the news because of a documentary, and just after she'd had a baby.
Oh my God!
And said 8 stone, not bad. And someone was saying, in my mind after that, I always thought 8 stone. That's what I got to be. 8 stone. 8 stone.
Yeah. Oh, I remember looking at the heat. How much do you weigh? And being like, how tall is she? What is she? You know, in your head, you think, I know. And when I was at drama school before I left, and I was like, you know, I mean, goodness me. One of the teachers said, you know, you're all right. You might do quite well, but you should probably make sure you lose a couple of stone. And I was quite slim.
A couple of stone?
Yeah, it was like you should basically be quite thin. And I was so upset. Like, for instance, if that happened now, I would fight them. Like, if somebody said something like that to anybody, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember just thinking, thank you. But I was upset, actually. No, I did give him some shit. But I still, there was something about the way it was said that was so sort of sinister that I just kind of went, oh, okay.
You took it on board in some way.
I took it on board, but then, you know, didn't really listen.
Someone told me to lose a couple of stone, I'd sit on them. Yeah. I'd be like, this is why I keep it on. For situation.
So I can watch you.
So I can sit on your head. And can you see how it's very difficult to move now or speak? Yeah, this is why I keep that extra power. 2 stone. That's right. It's just for emergencies. I don't have great upper body strength, but I could sit on someone hard.
The power of the squash.
I'm just saying. So that kind of thing at drama school and the sort of sectionization of did you have a lot of roles where you were either made to be diminutive or sexualized or?
Yes, yeah, and also just not as many good parts, which is, you know, that was the main thing. And quite often the way is, it's like that's drama school, but also, I mean, obviously there are great female parts in history, but they're just not the same amount. And when you were auditioning for things, there'd be a description of what the women looked like every single, like this is, you know, especially 20 years ago, there was always a description of what she looked like in quite a lot of detail. Mm-hmm. And that was a big feature. And she was normally often somebody's partner. Do you know what I mean? It feels like there has been some movement there. Thank God.
And now you're a showrunner, you've run your own show. What is it, and you're writing more for yourself and for other people. What is it that what interests you? What is it, like when you're doing a show, what is it that you want to question? What kind of things do you want to question?
Well, I suppose I want to question everything, which is a really lame answer. But when I'm writing a show, I want to write, I spend a long time thinking about what I don't see enough on telly and who I don't see and who I want to see and the detail of that. And I just want to write really interesting parts for people, that the kind of parts that when I started acting, I just didn't see a lot of. So, and I want to question who's the heads of departments and why, like, you know, like on the final series of Back to Life, we were suddenly turned around and we were like, oh my God, this is brilliant. It was like just a room full of really brilliant women, kind, and there was a lot of kindness and a lot of, it was like, why don't we just run this really nicely? Why don't we just make sure we have a really good time, everyone feels really good about themselves and comfortable, and actually then they can do their best work. And I question that. I think the big thing I question is this sort of narrative that you have to suffer and have a shit time and everyone has to cry and then you'll do something good, because I think that's bullshit. I think you're making like something, you can make it lovely for people, because it's going to be hard anyway, but like it's telly, like it's, you know what I mean? Mm. It doesn't have to be aggressive and horrible and cold. Like you can make people feel really good and then they're probably going to be better at what they do.
Yes,
That's my major thing.
That's interesting. So, was it the way that you had sometimes not been looked after?
Yeah.
In the industry,
and a sense of like, I remember doing a play once, and I sort of it was so awful. I was quite early on in my career, and the director was meant to be a bully, and I turned around to the group of people and went, "So, who do you think he's bullying? Because I can't work it out." And they all went, like, "Who?" And they were like, "Well, you." I was like, oh, and because I thought that was normal, that someone would talk to you like that or make you feel, it was like tough love. This is tough love, and it's like that's bullshit. That doesn't need to be like that.
Do you think there's an element as well of like the notion of like art is suffering, where people feel like they need to have sort of like gone through some experience?
Yeah, and of course sometimes that is true. Like this is not just rainbows and unicorns and everything has to be perfect, because of course that is true sometimes, but why is that the universal law? Surely you can also create something really great with people having a good time, a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And that weirdly feels revolutionary sometimes because people are like, "What do you mean? Not everyone was crying or working all weekend." And like, no, why don't you try not to do that? Because there are lots of, as we all know, there's so much pain and suffering and jobs that are really hard. And why can't? Yeah, why do we make that happen?
Yeah,
because we think that's a sign of art, because it's not necessarily a sign of art. It can be, but it's not. Doesn't have to be.
I think a lot of it's come out of the invention of the male auteur, who wants to wield power and enjoys making people feel small because they themselves feel insecure, and so that goes on in a loop. And there's a lot of that, I think, in all industries. But I think there's a particular mystique with male directors and male writers sometimes that, well, he's got to be like that. I know he's a monster, but he's got to be like that because the art is worth it. And then you see video of Stephen Sondheim teaching, and he is so lovely, and he supported young writers and looked after people and looked out for people. Yeah. And other people who sometimes you come across them and they go, no, but they're leading and they're lovely.
Yeah.
And they make people feel better about themselves. And I just think, well, you're going to get better work out
Literally, of I'm so bad. If someone's a bit mean to me, I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. Or they go be funny, and you're like, well, that's fucked it, hasn't it? So, for me, that's always been how I work. But I think I used to pretend that wasn't true. I'd be like, no, it's fine. And then now I'm just like, by the way, just be nice to me. It's a shortcut. If you want to work with a director, I'm like, just be nice, give me a couple of goes, don't say it meanly, and we'll be good. It's figure out what you need.
I do think, and certainly not all women lead like that either, because not all women lead well, because sometimes they've been made to feel very insecure, they've been bullied a lot in their career, and they think it's either that's how it's done, or the same thing happens is they've become insecure, and they've got imposter syndrome, and they think, I've got to flex.
But that's just a structure of patriarchy that you're describing, that any of us can be complicit in. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't depend on your gender whether you behave in that way.
No, not at all. But I think it's sometimes modelled, and I love it when women can break out of that and go, no, fuck that. Yeah. We can invent our own new thing that's better. Which it sounds like you did on your show.
Well, it was so lovely, but to the point where I did, I must be honest, think, oh God, this is going to be shit, isn't it? I'm going to prove myself wrong. But actually, I was happy with it, and and it was it was just a group of really great women and one slightly frightened man.
As they should be.
Yeah.
And so when you came to Boat Story, which is a thriller, what was it about this particular script, because you must get offered a lot, what was it about this script that made you go, this is something new, or this is questioning something about the way women have been presented in the past on screen?
Well, first of all, I thought the script was just so wild. I was like, this going on a ride. I was like, wow, I've not read anything like this before. And then I loved the fact that the central character was this sort of kind of lost, downbeat sort of woman who in the end is motivated by the love of the main love story for her is of her son or her stepson who she sort of wants to win back, and she's been dumped in a horrible way and everything has gone wrong.
She's got no rights to the child, even though she was acting as his mother since he was born.
Exactly.
She's got no rights to him at
all.
So
her whole drive in it is that love, which I liked. And the show is essentially sort of two people who meet on a beach, and they both at very low points in their life, and they stumble across a boat full of drugs and some death, and they make a life-changing decision.
Yeah. We were saying, like, you were saying when they first came across these drugs and these bodies.
Oh yeah.
You were going, don't do it.
Yeah, because I think there's the interesting thing with your character and the other lead,
Joseph Patterson.
Patterson Joseph.
Fuck! I knew I would do it. I'm named.
I'm just glad that I got it right.
I can't do names. Okay, let me take it again because I don't want that in it. Okay, Patterson Joseph.
Wait.
I think I need to pick it up. Okay, and you say the other lead, and I'll pick it up.
Oh yeah, and the other lead,
Patterson Joseph.
Yeah, I think that, I've forgotten the point I was going to make, absolutely, of course.
So sorry.
No, not at all.
I should say no. Yeah, they should say no.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think your character, like, put up, like, enough fight to understand why she then made the decision. But, you know, like, in programmes, you were saying, like, don't go down into the basement.
Don't go down into the basement.
I'd always be like, I won't go down into the basement, and then the episode's over for, like, after half an hour. But I'm so glad that your character did say say yes, let's do it, because it's an amazingly, like, thrilling and intriguing piece. And the thing that I was really interested in asking you about is the, like, stylistic elements, because it's not sort of like a bog standard procedural kind of thing that hits all of the beats we expect it to. There's, like, more stylistic elements.
Yeah, it feels very sort of Coen Brothers-y, doesn't it? It's very dark. It's darkly funny. It's blackly comic. It's also, like, it gets kind of madder in the most brilliant way. I feel like they've really, the two brothers who wrote it and directed the first two episodes, I feel like they've really, like, immersed themselves and really kind of properly sort of just gone right into this world and allowed it to be as sort of original, more original than anything I think I've seen for a while. I found it really fun and playful and playing with what narratives are, and so we all have our own narrative in it, and it's just like a wild ride, and not like a solid normal show. Definitely.
What I really, really liked about it is that how sympathetic, but also at a low ebb your character is.
Yeah.
And it really feels like your story, because we start with you have a terrible accident at work.
Yeah.
And you've lost your child, even though you've got no rights to the child. And there's a terrible feeling about how low your life is, but somehow your character, Janet, is sort of finding a way to be on top. Like, she goes to a fairground, really, because she wants to bump into her stepson or her former stepson, and she's shooting. She's at a shooting gallery.
Yeah.
And she's hitting lots of which is very kind of latent violence in it. And there's something about it that you think, no, her fortune's going to change, and she's going to kind of force it to change. And there is something kind of empowering about watching it, because I think we don't often see women, certainly in stories like that, who are down on their luck and who are so relatable. I think often now we see women who are very good at kicking and punching and shooting, and they're in slick jumpsuits and stuff like that. And the feminist answer to that we don't want women to be spraining their ankle and need to be carried anymore is now
entirely
they're really good at punching.
normal.
She is so relatable, but she's just like going after something.
And she's thrown into a situation, and then through that, I think, she has sort of a victim of everything at the beginning, and then in the end, well, and not the end, but, her journey is someone who sort of seizes their narrative and tries to change it, even though she gets herself into some very, very hot water
with the tailor.
But I never do very good high kicks or anything like that.
No.
Does she get to have, like, a sort of quite, like, moments of violence herself?
Maybe. I was so bad. I should never do anything with any spoilers. But but maybe.
I at times I admit,
who knows?
I admit I found it quite. There were times when it was violent, but I was too into the story. Like, this is what happened with me in Breaking Bad as well. I started out, I was so into the characters that when the violence came, I was able to like just look away.
But we were saying as well before, like it's quite cartoonish violence.
I think you're watching different cartoons from me.
No, it is violent. It is, but there is a.
Yeah. I'm really.
I know what you mean. It's not lingering on gruesome images. It's not, but there are things in it that I had to look away from for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think that I'm able to, like, if the suggestion of stuff, I don't then imagine it because there's a lot of suggested stuff that then you sort of fill in the blanks in your head.
I did have to look away there. So it's just heads up, you might have to look away. But the characters, and I did find it just very empowering watching an ordinary woman who'd had a very bad time just sort of jumping into an adventure. Although an inadvisable adventure, if you find millions of pounds of cocaine and some dead bodies on the beach, definitely dead police officers on the beach, definitely don't.
Oh my God.
Don't put that cocaine in your car.
No, never do that. I mean, I value my sleep so much. I just could not do that. No.
What? Because of the sleep?
Yeah, I would never sleep again. You think about it, like you just wouldn't, would you?
Yeah, it's true. So mostly because you're like, you'd be just lying awake at night.
I just can't bear like feeling guilty or anxious, so I couldn't do it. Yeah. But what I like about Janet is she's also she's sort of quite tough with Samuel. She's quite like, oh. Do you know what I mean? She's quite dry, and she sort of leads him a little bit. He sort of persuaded her to do this thing, but she's got this she's sort of figuring out who everyone is. She's got a sort of natural intelligence, rather, in a way that I think she's fun, and then therefore she can then change her story.
Yes, in that way, it feels a bit like Matilda. Like, you've got to write your own story. No one but me is going to change my story.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's such a low ebb. She does something really dramatic to at least kind of feel like she's alive. But and I do think it's very, very well written and very well acted and very stylish.
And speaking of writing one's own story, you were speaking about how you're going to sit down and sort of start writing something new again. And we were talking about like your creative process before the records, and I wondered if you would share it with the listening audience.
It's terrible. It's so shameful. I was basically saying that it got so... I had to do some writing, so I got a puppy with a broken leg, and I had to hold the puppy for 2 months, and I didn't write anything. So my levels of procrastination are like...
We need to clarify, she didn't go into the home asking for one with a broken leg.
I got a text with someone saying, hey, look at this cute little puppy. And I was like, yes. And I did not need it, and I was meant to be writing. So yeah, my ability to not write is immense. And now I am trying to do it. So I've asked the woman from the dog's home to not text me for 3 months. Literally. Please don't do that.
If you have... In fact, you were told I had a broken elbow, which I thought
they called it elbow.
They called it an elbow.
Yeah.
So if you or your dog has a broken elbow, please do not contact Daisy.
Please, I'm begging you.
She will take you in.
I will. Yes, please don't.
Because she will procrastinate.
I will.
Use your broken elbow as a procrastination tool. I'm intrigued to know, Chloe, what you like to question. Is there anything that you question day to day that you sort of think? My big thing that I question is... I'm buying you time. My big thing that I question...
Thank you. No, I think the thing that I have to question is like people's motives for stuff, because I feel like there was like a long period recently where I was getting really annoyed with the general public at everything that they do, because I feel like everyone just gets in your way constantly. Do you know what I mean? Like when people are sort of walking toward... The other day, a group of friends walked towards me 5 abreast like they were scanning the moors for a murder victim. And I was so fucked off. But I think the thing that I now question is their motives, and I try and remind myself that people aren't walking around the world trying to spite me. You know?
Yeah.
They're just thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
And I find that quite like a freeing thing.
I question who I'd be if I hadn't been raised in a patriarchy. I've no idea what I would be or what I would be like.
Interesting.
I think about that too.
Do you think that?
Do you have any like
because I feel like we're
theories?
born now.
Yeah. I mean, not that we're not still in a patriarchy.
No.
I know what you mean.
No,
young people. Well, your daughters who were going, why are you putting makeup on? Why do you need to do that?
I was so happy. We went to Greece and we went to this lovely beach, and my daughter just suddenly looked absolutely livid, and she said, "Look at that." and it said no women could be topless. And she said, we're not coming back here. Because she was so angry. She's like, there are all these men with their boobies out, she said, but why can't we get our boobies out? We're going. I was like, okay.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's great. And she's 9, so I feel like there's the question, like, I don't think I would have said that at 9.
The nip will be free by the time she's 21.
How have you, like, raised such strong, independent young women?
I mean... I don't know. We're very honest in our house, very straight up. I mean, to the point where someone came up to me and said, Elsie's saying she doesn't want to have a baby because of how much she said it hurt. And I was like, I probably shouldn't have told her. She's only 9. But
you don't lie about it.
But I'm just straight. We're just quite straight up, I suppose. But also I think that they don't want to watch something. They're like, is there a woman, is there a girl in it? And they're like, I'm not watching that, it's not got any girls in it. So they have there's just a different thing happening than maybe what.
And I guess it's like you've given them the like power and agency to ask questions, I guess, by like listening to the questions. Whereas
I suppose we are just very
open.
open, I suppose. We talk a lot about death or, we talk about life and death. We just talk a lot.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes I worry that they're Googling angry vaginas and I've messed up a bit, but
But when I was a kid, I think I would be told, because that's the way it is. And I would see a lot of that's the way it is. Yeah. And then I would be told because that's the way it is. And there was a sort of, the grown-ups word was law feel. And I think we were not encouraged to question. And we didn't have the internet, so we couldn't sneak off and go, well, I'm going to ask the internet. Or I'm going to ask my peers. Because what we had was what our teachers said, our parents said, and what was in the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Exactly.
So are you going to question colonisation with that? Because you look it up and it says, went well. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what you knew, no one told you, and so you had to, there's this generation of autodidacts now who get on there and, come, like your daughters, and they are questioning stuff, and they are, I think it's, what I like about the sound of your daughters is they've got this audacity built in of like, Mum, we're not staying here.
Yeah, well, I do. Well, yeah, that's wrong. Why? And then you're like, well,
but it's built into the way they think, and so whereas we have to undo that work.
Yeah,
there'll be other things.
There'll be other things, but there is something else that's sort of like in them that at an age which I don't think we were allowed to have or feel.
Can I ask? My favourite character of yours is your character in episodes, who I feel you made so much of, because that part could have been forgettable, I think, and you made that character so memorable. Could I interact with that character for a second? Okay. Could I say, I
can't smile, it's really hard.
Okay. So she's a development exec.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Myra Licht.
Myra.
Yeah.
Myra. She's one of my
Am I meant to be becoming her? I don't know why I'm going for this.
Yeah. Myra. Okay. So I'm going to ask Myra, what did you think of Boat's story?
It's very funny. It was really funny. That's all she ever said.
Did you have any notes that you thought could make it better?
And then she would nod and then she wouldn't say anything. She wouldn't have anything.
God. It was the faces that you used to pull and the way that your mouth would contort and then stay in that grimace. Oh, it's so funny.
All the outtakes were us all, me going...
And would everybody find it hard not to laugh when you were doing that?
Yeah, but mostly me, because I am quite smiley naturally, and it's really hard for me. It's really sad. Poor me. Mostly me, I'd just be like, sorry. Everyone was like, all right, just, get there in your own time.
But she would sit there and she would just hold her terrible opinions.
But she was terrified, I think. But yeah, she'd hold her terrible opinions. There was a whole scene where she said that why were there so many bats in the script? But it was beat. It was a beat, which is a pause. She's like, what about the bats? And everyone was like... So yeah, when she's questioned, she just goes, yeah.
It's my favourite. So I'm delighted I got to interact with her.
I haven't done that since I was in a pub about 10 years ago.
Oh,
and some drunk guy.
Right, you did it drunkenly.
I want to know, some guy said, can you do Myra? And then I did it, and he went, yeah, I just never found her that funny.
Oh! Man. He's the man you're going to get a penis from. Well, listen, is there anything you came to say that you didn't get to say in general or about Boat Story?
I'm a feminist. But
Yes, great. Go on.
I'm a feminist, but for some reason I felt I had to be really fun when I was giving birth.
You had to be fun.
I don't know. I thought about this the other day. I woke up at night and I said to Joe, I was like, I did some jokes, didn't I? He went, yeah, it was so weird.
Oh my God.
I had some social responsibility in the room whilst giving birth. Can I say, with no epidural, with like gas and air, with a drip induction, which is really painful, basically. Sorry, this is why my kids don't want kids. So it was really painful, and there was no. But I sort of felt like I had to keep the ball in the air.
Oh.
Like some part of me was like,
does anyone need any snacks? Is everyone okay?
At one point, I did what I thought was a playful wink to my husband, and he later told me that's why he ran out and called someone, because he thought I was like, having a stroke. Yeah. I was like,
Brilliant.
I know, it's awful, but I did. I would not do that now. But there was some part of me that was like, we've got to make this fun for him.
I totally relate to that social responsibility.
It was a social responsibility.
It's also what I do in times of great stress. When I was trying to have a child, which I did not do, but it's all right, it's turned out fine. My fertility doctor always used to say, "Oh, you're so fun. I wish all my other patients are always crying because they're coming because they're struggling to have a child. And you're always so fun, but my joke rate goes up.
Oh, yeah.
By 110%. Everything I said was like a quick, it was like trying to knock up Dorothy Parker. It's just what happens in me if a situation is stressful. I'm like, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's like, don't surrender to it. Somehow not surrendering to the stress and trying to hold something. But that is, I mean, I can't believe I did
I can't imagine if I was actually squeezing a baby out.
So not at that. So there's like gaps, obviously, between. But I would be like, because honestly, it was so. I'd be like, I don't know what I was doing.
Maybe making Myra.
Then he put on. He had a playlist because men love their playlists during a birth. And at one point, because he's a musician as well, so he took it really seriously. There's one really sort of trippy piece, and I was a bit like, wow, this is like he's planning my death. This is very weird. He wasn't. But then there was a song that was like really, I don't know, all I know is I went, no. And I went, too many words. And he went, okay. And he pressed skip. And then it all,
That's
I know.
So funny.
I
love that what you brought was the ability to bring life into the world with great pain, and what he brought was
a really good playlist. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it was that good, actually, David.
Not that one. That was just him like going, wow, this is going to be quite epic. Let's put this epic. And I was a bit like, no, thank you.
That's so gendered, though, that you're trying to people please during a birth.
I
and he's
know.
going, have you heard of Radiohead?
And on that note, do check out Breeders' episodes and Back to Life in November. Boat Story comes out.
Boat Story's in November, yeah.
It's so good. Go watch it. It's incredible.
We were both like absolutely gripped, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It ruined my afternoon. I was meant to do so much other stuff, but instead I was just sat there watching brilliant television.
We were absolutely gripped. It was genuinely compelling, and I do feel there's a real people element, and there is a sort of not trying to make the violent stuff sexy.
Yeah.
And not trying to make you a sexy minx on the run.
I got to wear no makeup and not have sex. It was great.
But exciting, and somehow, I don't know, there's something about it. There's something very human in the centre of it that you are portraying that character, and Paston Joseph is portraying that character very brilliantly, and I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Oh, thank you.
So check out Boat Story, BBC One this autumn. Big round of applause for the incredible Daisy Haggard.
Thank you.
You have been listening to The Guilty Members with me, Tim Francis White, guest guys, Chloe Petts, and our very special guest, Daisy Haggard. The recording engineer was Chris Sharp. The Guilty Members theme tune was composed by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Zielinski for the Spontaneity Shop. Thanks to Rachel Craftman, Gina Dicio, Zainab Mohammed, and everyone at King's Place, as well as all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com. was expert. That was absolutely... You smashed
I know what
that.
I'm doing.
Whatever they say about Zoe Betts... It's not going to be a running joke. We can't, because that won't be in the show, because that part won't be in the show. So that cannot be a running joke.
Yeah, but we know us, and it will be.
No, it won't.
The same as Zoe will be asking for dick pics the whole show. Even into the second record, which isn't meant to have any callbacks in.
No, it's going to be the worst.
The Guilty Feminist is provided exclusively from Acast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.